back to Akshata's Recipes. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today's recipe is a mixed vegetable recipe in which I'm going to be using quite a few veggies which are available in the markets now, and they look so beautiful and they are delicious, and they also say that the more colorful your dish is, it's more healthy for you. So I've incorporated a lot of veggies today. That's the best way to get our family members to eat all the veggies possible. So this is a super simple recipe. Now I've got many queries from many beginners who are just starting to cook as to Akshata, can you show us also how you prep all these vegetables? So I've left that at the fag end of the video. So once the recipe is over, I will show you how I've chopped up all my vegetables. Basically today I'm going to be using carrots, cauliflower, French beans, and quite a few vegetables. So I'm going to show you how I clean the vegetables, how I get them prepped up for the recipe, as well as how I make my ginger garlic paste for this recipe and other things too. So stick around to the end of the recipe to see how I prep up the veggies. So let's just jump straight ahead into today's recipe. So let's see the recipe. So here in a pan, I've taken about 2 tablespoons of oil. Once the oil is nice and hot on a low to medium flame, I'm going to add my ginger garlic paste. I'm going to fry the paste well till you get the aroma of the ginger and garlic. Now we're going to add our chopped up green chilies. We're going to fry the chilies well too. This will nicely flavor the oil. Now we're going to add our onion. Now we're going to fry the onion till it is nice and translucent. Once that is done, we're going to add our chopped up cauliflower. And I like to cut them into small florets. And we're going to retain and use the leaves too. Never discard the leaves of the cauliflower. Always use them. Now we're going to saute the cauliflower a bit, and then we're going to add the carrots. I like using the orange carrots rather than the reddish carrots. Now we're just going to add in our green peas and our French beans. Now we're going to fry all of this well, let them get flavored with the ginger garlic and the green chilies. We're going to add some turmeric or haldi powder. One, it is for color, and the other, it has many health benefits. Now we're going to add our dhania, coriander powder, garam masala, jeera powder, and Kashmiri red chili powder. We're going to mix everything very, very well together so that all of the veggies get coated with these masalas. And that really enhances the flavor of this dish. Now we're going to add some salt to taste and also a pinch of sugar. Again, we're going to mix everything well. Now we're just going to add about half a cup of water, and we're going to let the veggies cook in this water. We're going to also add our tomato puree. Now we're going to stir everything well together, and then we're going to cover and cook this for about 5 minutes or till your cauliflower is nice and cooked. So to check that, all you have to do is just take one cauliflower and just pierce it down with your hand or fingers, and you'll come to know that the cauliflower is cooked. And there it is, friends. Our lovely cauliflower and green peas curry, or you can call it a mixed vegetable curry, is all ready. Now, like I promised you in the beginning, I'm going to show you how I prepped up all the veggies, because I've got so many requests to show how do we prep up all these veggies. So there are many beginners who want to learn that. Now for the carrot, I like to use these baby carrots which are orange in color, and wash the carrots well, and then just using a regular peeler, we're going to peel off the skin. Now we're going to cut the tips of the carrot, and then I'm going to cut the carrot right in the center. Then I'm going to chop this again into halves, and then you will see this little lighter orange kind of thing in the middle, so it's always good to remove that. I don't know whether it's how far this is true, but I've heard that if you eat that, it causes pitta or kind of an acidity. So you should never use the center of the orange of the carrot. So always get rid of the center. And then we're just going to hold all the 4 pieces together, and we're going to chop them up into, you can cut them even finer because that will help, and then just hold them together in this fashion. And I'm using a serrated knife because it's really sharp and it helps to cut the vegetables really nicely. Always use a sharp knife, and then just chop them up into these into small bits like this. Now I've kept a plate ready, so I'm going to transfer all my veggies as I prep them up into a plate. You can also keep separate little bowls for each of the veggies. Prepping takes a longer time than cooking for most recipes, but you need to prep well. Now for the cauliflower. Now I'm using a cauliflower. You should always buy, a cauliflower which really looks fresh, which is really white in color, where the florets really look nice and fresh. Never buy a cauliflower which is, discolored or it looks really bad. It should look very fresh and nice. Now I've soaked this cauliflower in a tub of water with some salt added for about at least 15 to 20 minutes, and then I've also rinsed it very well. Now we're going to separate the stalk from the floret. We're going to use the leaves, so just tear off the leaves with your hands in this fashion. And then what we're going to do after separating the leaves is we're going to take each of the floret, again remove the stalk part of it, and then we're going to cut the florets into really small bits. So like for example, this particular floret, it has a small little stalk, so we're going to get rid of that stalk, and we're just going to chop it up into smaller bits like this. That way it looks pretty too, and it's easier to eat. So again, just chop them up into pieces which you can, manage this way. Again, remove the stalk in this fashion. And then again, just chop them into smaller florets. Now, one tip I'd like to give you here, if you plan as to what you're going to be cooking during the week and you know that you need all these veggies, you can prep them up and you can keep them in little glass containers or little steel containers. Don't use plastic, and keep them in your refrigerator. You can use them to make soups. You can make them, use them for any vegetables. So if you prep them up, then they're really just ready for you to use. So when you're buying cauliflower, always go for the smaller cauliflowers. Don't go for very large cauliflowers, and go for they should look very appealing to you. They should look very fresh and white. It shouldn't be yellow or brown. It shouldn't be looking limp. So even if you just touch the cauliflower, you can make out that the florets are nice and taut, and that's the way to come to know that it's fresh. And also the leaves should look nice and green. Now we come to the French beans or the farasbi. So I'm using about, I guess, roughly 10. I've washed them well. Again, I've soaked them in some water with some salt added for some time. Then I've washed it well. Now we're going to remove the tips. Now with French beans, when you break off the ends of the French bean, you will see that sometimes when you're tearing it off, there's a string that comes off with it. So you can remove the string too. So as you tear on top, sometimes you get a string, sometimes you don't. I guess when the French beans are fresher, there's not much of a string, but if they're a little bit older, you'll get a thicker string. So whenever you're buying vegetables, always look at the color of the vegetables. They should really look nice and fresh. They should not feel limp when you buy them. They should not look stale. And if you can buy your veggies, either the previous evening or the same day when you're going to make it, it's much better than rather storing them in your refrigerator for many days and then using it. I mean, it all depends upon how accessible your vegetable market is to you and how much time you have on hand, of course. But buying veggies fresh every day, or at least just the previous evening, the vegetables, that they're really fresh. Now just hold them all together as it's convenient to you, and again, using that sharp knife, just chop them up into small pieces. So now that our French beans also are prepped up, we're going to transfer that to our plate. Now the next thing is we're going to be using are some green peas. Now I had already cleaned a bunch of green peas and kept them in my refrigerator just the day before. But basically what you have to do is when you get the French bean, the green peas, they come like this. All you have to do is just tear off the pod like this, and you just take off the green peas. So that's really very simple. Again, use fresh green peas whenever possible. Now the ginger and garlic paste. Here I have my ginger. I've washed it well. I'm taking just about half an inch. And using my little cheese grater here, I'm just going to use the grater and grate the ginger. You can also do it in your mixer pot, or you can just smash it up in your mortar pestle. I have a recipe for homemade ginger garlic paste. I will leave a link below. And then I've just taken about 5 cloves of garlic, and I have grated it too. Now another tip over here is you can always buy your garlic, peel it and keep it, store it so that whenever you require it, it's ready at hand, rather than peeling them every time. Whenever you're watching your favorite serial or movie, you can just sit with some garlic in your hand and just peel them and keep them ready. The same with green peas. So now my ginger garlic paste is ready. I'm just going to put it into my plate. Now we require 2 light green chilies. So I've washed the chilies, I've cut up the tips again, and I'm going to just cut them very, very fine. Now, whenever you're cutting or chopping something, give your full attention to it. Otherwise, you might just, cut yourself. So be very attentive. Keep your fingers like a little bit, away from the knife always. Now here I've taken 1 tomato, I've washed it well, chopped the head of it or the tip, and I've just cut it into big cubes, and I'm going to just blend it in my mixer pot to a fine puree. So I'll transfer this to a small bowl and keep it aside. Now I'm going to be using 1 medium-sized onion. Again, I've washed the onion well. We're going to take off the tips, and then we're going to peel off the onion. The peel comes off very easily like this. And this is the white part. They say you shouldn't eat that, so take that off too, always. I just love these little red onions. They're so pretty and they really have a lovely flavor. And then you're just going to chop these like this. Slice them first. You see how I'm moving my fingers a little away from the knife, and then turn it around and chop it like this, and then like this. So first slice them like this, then turn it around to the other side. Take your own time when you're chopping. Just be careful. So let's see today's matarachi usal. So here I've heated about a tablespoon of oil in a pan. Once the oil is hot, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of mustard seeds or mohori or rye. Once the mohori begins to splutter, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of jeera seeds or cumin seeds, half a teaspoon of hinga or asafoetida, and half a teaspoon of haldi powder or turmeric powder. Next, I'm going to add one light green chili that I've just chopped up fine. Next goes in about 2 cloves of garlic that I've chopped fine. One medium-sized onion chopped fine. Now we're going to mix all of this very, very well so that the onions get nicely fried. This is a really super simple and really quick dish. And now here I have about a cup of green peas, fresh green peas, and just add that and just mix everything nicely together. So this usal can be had with chapati, puri. And now we're just going to cover and cook this for about 5 minutes, stirring in between. So this way the peas will get cooked. And now we're just going to add a little bit of flavor. So we're going to add 1 teaspoon of red chili powder, 1 teaspoon of kitchen king masala, which is easily available in stores, and it really adds lovely flavor to all usals and vegetables, a little bit of it. Now I'm just going to add about 1/4 cup of water. Mix everything together. And the green peas cook really, really fast. Now I'm going to add some salt to taste, a pinch of sugar. Again, mix everything well. Just cover and cook this for about 5 minutes on a low to medium flame, and that's it, friends. Your usal is all ready. A very super simple and delicious recipe. So friends, let's start with today's peas and potato bhaji. Now here I have about 4 light green chilies, 10 cloves of garlic, an inch of ginger, a cup of green peas, 3 small potatoes, and 1 teaspoon each of pepper powder and cumin powder, and some salt to taste. So I'm going to start by making a coarse paste by adding the green chilies, the ginger, the garlic, a little bit of salt, my pepper powder and my cumin powder, and I'm going to grind all of this to a very coarse paste. Now transfer the paste to a separate bowl, and we're going to use the masala water, which is just the water that we're going to clean up the mixer with also. We're going to use that. So now I'm going to peel the boiled potatoes, and I'm going to chop them up into small cubes. Now to boil my potatoes, I put them in my pressure cooker for 1 whistle on high with some water in it, and then I've simmered it for about 5 to 10 minutes. Now I'm going to heat 1 tablespoon of oil in a pan. Once my oil is nice and hot, I'm going to add this coarsely ground paste, and I'm going to fry this paste really well for about 2 to 3 minutes till I get the lovely aroma of the fried paste. So this will give you a lovely aroma of some pepper, some cumin, the green chilies, the ginger and the garlic. Now I'm going to add just about 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric or haldi powder. Mix everything in well. And then I'm going to add the green peas. Now you can use fresh green peas, or you can use the frozen peas, whatever is available. Mix everything well together. Now if you're using the frozen peas, you need to thaw them, or what you can do is just when they're frozen, just put them in a bowl of water and then drain the water after 2-3 minutes. Now I'm going to add the boiled potatoes, which I've made into cubes, and I'm going to mix everything very gently. We don't want to break the potatoes. Now, one trick I like to share with you here is that I always like to, if I'm making this recipe, I always like to boil the potatoes the previous day and refrigerate them. That way they become nice and firm and so yeah, it's very easy to chop, and they don't become mushy, they don't disintegrate. So it's always good if you're planning to make any recipe with boiled potatoes to boil the potatoes the previous day, and then refrigerate them and then use them the next day. Now I'm going to add this masala water, and we are going to just mix everything nicely. Now this potato bhaji goes very well with some puris, or even with some chapati or poi, or even some rice and dal. It's an excellent side dish, or as a main vegetable also. It tastes really very different from the normal puri bhaji that we are used to having. Now I'm going to cover and cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes on a very low flame. And now we're going to season it with some salt to taste and a pinch of sugar. Now remember, we already added salt when we were grinding the coarse paste. So we go a little bit easy on the salt, or you can give it a taste and see whether you need to add any more salt. And again, we're going to cover and cook this for another 1 or 2 minutes, because we want everything to really, come together really well, all the spices. And now we're just going to mix everything gently. You might find that the spice base is stuck to the bottom a little bit. Just scrape it off, and that also adds an extra flavor to this dish, a little bit of fried masala, and it comes off very easily. And that's it, friends. Your lovely peas and potato bhaji is all ready to enjoy. Try out this recipe and let me know how you like it. So for today's matar karanji or green peas karanji, first we're going to make the dough. So for that, I've taken 1 cup of plain flour or maida, added some salt to taste, mix the salt and the flour well together. And now I'm going to add 7 teaspoons of hot melted ghee or clarified butter. Now I'm going to mix this really well till all the ghee coats all of the flour. You should be able to hold the flour like this. That means the ghee has coated the flour really well. And now we're going to add a little water at a time and form a soft yet a firm dough. Your dough should be such that it doesn't stick to your fingers or your palm of your hands. So knead it really well. And then just add 1 or 2 drops more of the ghee and again knead it and set it aside. Now we're going to work on the filling. So here I have 1 cup of green peas, half a cup of fresh grated coconut. This is a paste of 4 green chilies, 1 inch of grated ginger, 1 teaspoon of roasted cumin powder or jeera powder. This is the 2 teaspoons of lime juice, half a teaspoon of sugar, and some salt to taste. Now I'm going to take half of the green peas and grind them to a coarse paste like this. Then I'm going to transfer the peas as well as the coarsely ground peas to a mixing bowl. I'm also going to grind the coconut and add that. So just grind the coconut to a coarse paste. Mix everything really well together. Now I'm going to add the roasted cumin powder. Again, mix that well. Now I'm going to add some salt to taste. And I'm also going to add the sugar and mix it really very well. Now once that is done, I'm going to heat about half a teaspoon of oil in a pan, and I'm going to fry the green chili paste as well as the grated ginger till you get the aroma of the green chilies and the ginger. So just fry it well. And now we're going to add this green peas mixture to this fried ginger and green chilies and fry this a little bit well so that all the moisture goes out of this filling. Now once that is done, I'm going to add this back to my mixing bowl. And I'm going to add the lime juice and again mix it really, really well. Now I'm going to form small balls with the dough, like you would with a regular, karanji which you make during Diwali, or enquiries that we make during Christmas. So the procedure remains the same. You just take these balls, roll them out. You're not going to use any flour while rolling it because the dough is very flexible. Put about a teaspoonful of the filling in the center and just shape it up like this. Cut off the edges and your karanjis are all ready. So the dough rather, you can see is very flexible. So just put it in the center and then just lift up the dough and just seal it up really well and then cut off the excess. So in this way, make all the karanjis with the dough that you have and set that aside. Now ensure that it's sealed really well. You don't want to have any open ends, otherwise when you go to fry it out, the filling will come out into the oil. So seal it really, really well. Now I'm just going to heat some oil in a pan and I'm just going to deep fry these karanjis till they're nice and golden brown in color. And that's it, friends. And then drain the excess oil on some kitchen towel or kitchen napkins and you're all set. Enjoy this with some ketchup or some sweet tamarind chutney. Do give this recipe a try. Ingredients. Here I've taken about 1 cup of rice and just washed it well and soaked it for 2 to 3 minutes. Here I have some whole spices, 2 cardamoms, about 4 cloves, about 10 peppercorns and half an inch of cinnamon. These are just 3 Maggi cubes. I'm using the chicken flavor. This is 1/4 cup of finely chopped French beans, half a cup of green peas, 1/4 cup of finely chopped carrots. This is a coarse paste of 5 light green chilies, 5 cloves of garlic, and 1 inch of ginger, 1 medium-sized onion, some ghee or clarified butter. So these are all the ingredients we're going to be using to make this lovely pulao. So here I've just taken a pot or a pan and I've just heated about 2 tablespoons of this ghee or clarified butter. We're also going to be using turmeric because I love the yellow color. If you want to leave it a white color, then you can skip using the haldi powder or the turmeric. So once our ghee is hot, I'm going to start by putting in my whole spices that will nicely flavor our oil as well as the rice. The next thing that's going to go in is this coarsely ground ginger, garlic, and green chili paste. We're going to fry this paste really well. Now, I'm using regular rice that we use for cooking on a regular basis, but you can also go with basmati. Now, we're going to fry the paste really well. This is very important, on a low to medium flame. So once you get the lovely flavor of the ginger and the garlic, we're going to add in our onion. And we're going to fry this onion till it's nice and translucent. Now once our onions are nice and fried, we're going to add in our turmeric or haldi powder. Like I said, if you want to retain the white color of the pulao or the vegetable rice, then you just skip this step. Now once that is done, we're just going to add the Maggi cubes. Now you can go with any flavor, you can go with the veg flavor, but I love the chicken flavor. And I like to use 3 Maggi cubes because we're not adding any salt to this rice. So these 3 Maggi cubes are enough. They give a lovely flavor to the rice as well as they also compensate for the salt. Now once our 3 Maggi cubes are added, we're going to mix that very, very well with the rest of our ingredients. Now we're going to just add all the veggies. Now I'm going with peas and carrots and French beans. But if you have a little bit of small, finely chopped cauliflower, capsicum, little potatoes, chopped up fine, you can add those too. But I like sticking to just these three veggies. Now with the rice, we're going to just drain all the water and we're just going to add the rice. Now this 1 cup of rice suffices for 4 people. But if you want to go with more rice, then you'll have to just increase the quantity of the onions and the rest of the ingredients a little bit more. Now we're going to fry the rice a little bit in this bagar, as we call it. We need to fry the rice just a bit. And I like to make this with ghee or clarified butter because it has a lovely flavor to the rice rather than using oil. Now I'm just going to add about double the quantity of the rice that I used. So I'm just eyeballing about 2 cups of water, or rather just enough water to cover the rice by around an inch. Now we're going to increase the flame to high. We're going to ensure that all the rice grains are in the water along with all of the veggies, and we're going to let this water come to a boil. So we're going to increase the flame to high. This is very important. And then we're going to let the water boil vigorously. So it takes about half a minute for the water to actually start boiling. And then once the water starts boiling, we're just going to, it still has to come to a real vigorous boil. We're on a high flame right now. And the minute everything starts boiling like this, we are going to reduce the flame to the lowest possible. And then we're just going to cover and cook. Now this will take just another 5 minutes for it to get ready. So you can just keep checking in between. So see how fast this rice got ready. It took less than, I think, 10 minutes for the rice to get cooked. So after around, I think, roughly 8 minutes, our rice is already ready. So just put off the flame and just cover it for another 2 minutes. And then once you're ready to serve, you can just rough up the rice, loosen up the grains. And you can see that they're so well cooked. It's not a mash. The rice hasn't got mashed. The reason for this is, first of all, that we soaked the rice. And secondly, we cooked it in this manner, so it doesn't become soggy at all. Now, I love to club this rice with some lovely Goan potato chops or some chicken cutlets or some popcorn chicken. I'm going to leave the recipes for all of those three sides that go with this rice very well in my description box as well as the comments box. So just click on those links and